welcome to the GameFace MPNFL Netball Show. On the show this week, we are pleased to welcome Australian netball icon Shelley O'Donnell, who'll be joining us for a chat a bit later on about Sorrento Football Netball Club and having a look at the ever so close top 5 in Division 1, especially in A grade.
Yeah, exciting guest for us this week. Looking forward to that chat. And of course, the usual segments too, including a flashback special of Netflix and Skills, where we take a look back at some golden oldies over the last 10 years of the MPNFL.
Thanks for that picture that you posted of me, Lou.
It's okay.
Almost didn't recognise myself.
Little babies there.
10 years goes fast, but actually we can sure tell, can't we? It's a shocker. Let's jump into it, guys, and let's have a look at last week's result and start out with Div 2. Christy, what can you tell us?
Look, to be honest, guys, there wasn't a lot of interest, I don't think, from the weekend.
We're not missing a game again like we did last week with Devon Meadows tie-up. Sorry, girls.
Yes. And Devon had the clear run of wins as well, so I do apologise that I didn't mention you girls. But yeah, so there wasn't really anything significant to call out from last week's game. So there was some pretty ordinary weather, and I don't know whether that kind of kept the score lines low, and there wasn't really any significant blowouts either. The one that came to mind though was in the A grade, it was Kooringal versus Tyab. Now our A grade's locked in, Tyab just sitting out of the top 5 in 6th, but beat Kooringal, who were sitting in 5th. So I'm sure at this end of the season they're probably really disappointed that they haven't been able to get up there with, and maybe a few extra wins during the season, because I think that the Tyab girls really would have played a really great final series. So that was a bit of a surprise to me when I saw those results, because that said, I still think Kooringal, they've got the depth at the club that they probably should have come away with that win. So I think they'll have a little bit of soul searching in that A grade group to see where they're going to go come finals time. And the other thing that was a bit of it was an upset in the under 17s. So we had Devon Meadows 2, who are in 6th spot, overcoming Langwarrin, who are in 4th. So that was a nice little win for Devon Meadows, and we'll talk later about what that's going to look like for them in their final space. But other than that, pretty stock standard across the board. I know that at Somerville we took on Crib Point and their A grade side. I don't think they got out of much of a trot, really. They were able to rotate their players through. They're sitting on top of the ladder for a reason, and wowee, what a nice group of players. And there's been a lot of talk about whether Adrian needs to be on the court for them or not. I can tell you from first-hand experience watching those girls, look, yes, you'd love her to be out there, but they are all stepping up, and it was, it was a really great game.
And good to see there's still a few players there. They had their 10-year reunion, I guess, well, not reunion, but celebration of 10 years at netball.
The team of the last 10 years, and the majority of the girls that made that side are still in their A grade side.
Isn't that fantastic?
I think there was a few of the girls who are now playing low grades, bless them, are slowly retiring through the lower grades.
Taking it a little easier.
And I know Amy Sleffendorfus was named in the side, who's now playing at Langwarrin, but yeah, I think that side, like I said, most of them playing still in A grade, but take on any side in the comp, and I think that
no wonder they're so good. Yeah,
that's right. They've been playing for so long, and they're still playing at that level. So no, it was a pleasure to watch them, even in like we had rain, and it was terrible. It was typical Crib Point pond weather, but they're a very lovely side.
Fantastic.
So that's all from me.
Excellent. Well, it gives me much pleasure now, Lou, to ask about last weekend, because as you can see, guys, Lou is wearing some EDS gear. So let's tell us about that, Lou. Why are you wearing it?
Are you jumping ship then?
I mean, we'd love that, but I don't think so.
No, not at this stage. Unfortunately, we weren't able to take any chocolates on Saturday. We came away with 4 losses and a really great day of netball down at Bomb Beach. I don't know. I don't think we had any bad weather that you were talking about, Christy.
Crib Point has its own special clouds down there. Doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the country.
We had some colds, but not too much.
It was not too bad.
It was a pretty good day for netball.
I've never played at cribbing in the dry. It's only ever rained.
D grade started the day off with a great game, unfortunately taking the chocolates. Our C grade game was probably one of the better games I've seen
Very
played between
hard
two
fought.
teams all season. My girls dropped the ball a little bit too preoccupied with who won the toss. We haven't won a toss, I should say, so we've always lost the toss, and then we've won the game. So then when we won the toss, they were a little bit
freaked out a bit.
So did you have the first centre pass?
We did.
So you should have just chosen the end.
Well, that's what Jamie did say to me. She goes, "Should I have just chosen the end and pretended we lost?" Well, it really shouldn't play that much into it, but it did. We started the first quarter 5-0, so you really can't let a side like EDS get away with a start like that, because in the end it was only a 4-goal difference. Ooh. And it was a great game of netball when we finally switched on and halfway through that first quarter, and I would. Obviously, I want my team to be in the grand final, but that would be a great grand final between the two teams. There's some other players that will come up. Other teams that can come up and match it. As we know, EDS has lost a couple of games, but that's the final I would like to see, which means...
Me too.
Which means we need to work out who will lose.
So there's a little bit of your YCW yellow on there. One of the
take that
EDS
away.
sponsors, but other than that...
nice blue and white. It suits you, Lou.
I think you're going to have to suffer wearing that tonight.
B grade stole the game in probably that they got a good start as well, and then stole it in the last quarter. We took the foot off the pedal a little bit, and then A grade another great start in the first quarter, and wasn't probably one of the better games I've seen our two teams play together for a while. It was still only quite close, 16 goals in the end, but I think it was an 11. We were down by 11 at the first break, so hard to come back by from that. But there was one big shock that I think shocked most people in the league this week, and I don't mean any disrespect to Bombers, but I did restart the GameFace thinking that it had frozen. But they came away with a cracking win against Mornington, and having a chat to some of the girls, they won by 3 goals and they just played the life out, played an amazing game. And then just took it to them in the last quarter and really overran it. So I think they were down by a couple in going into the last quarter, and were able to come away with the win. So Mornington sitting on top of the ladder, or second on the ladder, sorry.
Do you think it makes them look a little more vulnerable now? Because they've had a couple of losses now. So.
They have, and obviously losing to a 7th place side out top. We know Bombers had the scalp of Sorrento, which was a good one for them. So they've now beaten 2 teams in the top 5 this season, which is pretty. There's not really any other club that's done that outside of the top 5. So great. Obviously, great scalp for Frankston Bombers, and
they'll be locking in those players for next year, won't they?
I think
they
so.
can build on that.
They can build on that. And a couple.
Yeah, really promising for next season.
Yeah, taking the win from Mornington, I don't think anyone was really expecting that. So we know Holly Hood is overseas at the minute, but she shouldn't be. I think the last time they played, it was 30-something goal difference. So a big turnaround, and they'll be very happy with that.
That's a big call to say that Holly would be maybe potentially a 30-35 goal difference.
I don't think she is.
Would hope that one player doesn't have that much.
But they didn't seem to be missing any other players. They could correct us, but from what we see. But yeah, great win for Bombers, and then that's about. There wasn't too much
good on the Bombers
out of the norm. Yeah, congratulations, girls. Great win.
Well done. And how about the Swordfish Wine Bar and Tapas match of the round, which was the Div 1 B grade clash between Rosebud and Mount Eliza? What did our Spy have to say about that game, Christy?
Yeah, so heading into the game, it was 3rd place Rosebud at home welcoming the 7th place Mount Eliza. So the final score was a win to Rosebud by 5 goals. So it was a 38-33 scoreline in the end. However, the results were probably much closer than what would have been predicted before they took the court. So Daisy was the reliable target in goals for Rosebud, so we always love that reliable shooter. So she had an impressive 20 goals and was supported by Beth and Lauren in that goal circle. A notable performance was by Pippa Hansen, so big shout out to Pip. We love Pip down at the Sports Injury Clinic from Mount Eliza, who was relentless in defence, and I have played a few games with Pip, so a bit of a shout out to her. But the game was up for grabs, and with such a narrow scoreline, as you were just talking about with yours, especially in a B grade, you really need to be able to capitalise on turnovers, and those things are really essential. So So that's what Mount Eliza was able to do. And so the Swordfish Wine Bar and Tappers Player of the Round is actually Ebony Taylor from Mount Eliza Football Netball Club. So Ebony worked really hard through the centre court in that wing defence centre position, solid attacking and defending games. So she was able to do a lot of that capitalisation that they needed. Some tips.
Unfortunately, didn't get the win, but to be able to come away with an award like that is great.
Yeah, fantastic intercepts and all of those things that you want as a coach. So, and the spy that we'd sent out to the game actually compared her to Dion from Crew Point. Now,
which is a pretty good comparison.
that's a high honour. That's a massive rap for a girl. So, so if she's able to have a little bit of that skill and flair out on the court, then that's a massive compliment to her. So congratulations, Ebony, on being our Swordfish Player of the Round.
Well done.
All right, so now that we're pretty much at the end of the season, thank goodness, if you haven't already done so, in the next couple of weeks, clubs will be counting all of their votes and ordering their trophies. So if you're yet to order your trophies, hit up our friends at Garley Trophies who can get you sorted for your end of year awards. Because I know that I actually don't do trophies down at Somerville. So what do you guys do at your club? And we'd be really interested to know what you guys at home, what you also do at your club. So has everyone just got their standard best and fairest, runner-up best and fairest, coaches award? Is there anyone that does anything maybe a little bit, funny, comical or something like that? I know that might be left to a different session, but just be really interested to know what everyone's clubs do. So, girls, what have you? We just do our standard best and fairest, runner-up best and fairest. We have coaches award, and we do a best finals player for any teams that make finals. So I think they're the only awards that we do at Somerville. Mm-hmm. What about you girls?
This year, talking about trophies, we're probably going down the lines of not doing trophies this year and doing something different that they can use, take away. There's been a few different ideas thrown around, but which, as we said, I know we've got all our trophies. Mum took all the
little plaques off them.
Off and
so
turfed
clever.
all our trophies from our junior years.
Yep.
And, people do look at them as dust collectors, but then there are those players that may not necessarily have played much sport during their years growing up, and, everyone gets a trophy, so that might be the first time they've ever got a trophy. So just deciding which is the flip side there,
Previously,
which way to go.
To us changing away from the trophy the year prior, we actually had these most beautiful glass trophies, and so all the wording was inside the glass, and they were stunning, and they can be used.
Beautiful. Paperweights or,
Yeah,
it's a bit more decorative, aren't
It's
they?
more of a decoration. You could have that, and it's not, that really brassy gold, shooter style.
Figurine.
Yeah, figurine.
Yeah.
As a defender, it's like, I don't want to have
I know, I don't shoot.
the girl up there, who's shooting the ball. But
Do you use glasses as your gift?
So I introduced that last year for 2018 for our awards, and so it's quite a large, substantial wine glass.
Good for celebrating the win.
Of course, if I was going to be making them. And had their names, the grade, what they've won, all inscribed on the outside of the glass. So, and yes, if you were successful in winning those awards, then you were drinking out of those.
Absolutely.
So that's what we chose to do, just for something different. I think they were a success. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, shout out to everyone listening. Make sure you comment and see and put forward what your clubs do or what their ideas are, so everyone else can jump in on their ideas. But as you said, at YC, we do your runner-up, best and fairest runner-up, and then it's up to the coach to choose their third award, whether they want to do a coach's award or something else. If you play finals, you do a best finals player.
Yep.
So obviously best and fairest and runners-up is decided pre-finals, and then we do similar
finals.
to finals player.
Clean slate.
That's across the whole club, so it's nice to be really consistent. And then Stone Kitten of the Year, so whoever has been a great volunteer.
What is the criteria for that one?
Generally comes down to squad morale, so someone who's always up and about with the club, getting involved in fundraising activities, just things on and off the court, whether it's our social media, committee, doesn't necessarily need to be on the committee, someone who's there from the start of the day to the end of the day, that sets up and does pack up without being asked. There's quite a few different criteria that has to be submitted, and then the committee decide on who is the winner. But it just generally those sort of duties outside of the normal, just rock up to training and play. They're someone that gets in and does a little bit extra around the club.
Helps the club move forward.
Yeah.
I did actually do that last year. I did remember that. So that was, and it was a surprise. I hadn't told anybody that I was doing it. And Stacey Beath was actually our winner last year. And she was so surprised, but so happy.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not about who's
The best player.
Yeah,
You've got to
getting
recognise
three votes.
those commitments and those
And-
extra duties, don't you?
And she's 100% a Summy girl, and the club wouldn't be the same without her being down there. And she's actually been overseas for the last few weeks, and I've really missed having her voice on the sidelines.
But things
you're right,
like that,
all of those
yeah.
things are so important.
We've had a couple of players that made everyone scrunchies at the start of the year, or we had a birthday and they brought
wowzers.
cake, and like theres completely different things that
Awesome.
people do that are just outside the norm. But having that club spirit and sportsmanship, so we. I'm going to put myself on the spot and not be able to mention our 4 focuses. We have 4 focuses.
Right.
Sportsmanship, there's a couple. I'll write them in the
You can comment.
comments.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
one of the girls can
So you
um,
really
Tag
just
them,
You
yeah.
just really just copy and paste it from the week prior, don't you?
So Shay can back me up on that one. They're her little comments. But there's 4 things we do as a club every week on and off the court, and there's 4 that relate to the being, we're hard at it, focused, respectful of ourselves, the club, and the umpires, and everything about it. And that's not just on the court. That's if we're at the club for a function or something like that. So all those little things, and then I think that's about it. Any special awards that have come up through the year for like 100 games and
We
things like that,
celebrate all
they
the
get a singlet.
milestones.
Life members, if that's for played however many
we've got
games.
2 down at Summy this year.
Yeah, things like that. I don't know if there's anything else you do differently, Sammy.
I think that all sounds like what we do. We've got a club person award, and then we've got our regular ones, and I think we still do a coaches award. I didn't go last year because I wasn't playing, so Helen can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But yeah, we certainly do that. When it comes to our presentation night as well, we actually have a pre-vote count. So after the grand final, when we've all been down to watch the grand finals, we go to the club afterwards, and we do like the first half of the season, just so that presentation night doesn't go quite so long.
Yeah.
So in the past we've done separate and together. Generally we're together, do the football netball together. So that way, if there's a little bit of pre-counting, it doesn't quite go for
Well,
hours and hours. So
I don't know about you at Somerville, but we have ours together. But all grades do a pre-count, and then the main leaders are put up on the board.
Yeah.
And the last 3 rounds are read out for
Yeah.
everyone to see, so it doesn't drag the night on.
Yeah, we've definitely condensed the night. We want it to be a celebration as well, so we don't want the count to go for the majority of the night. So we're using that earlier piece to get that done before we get up onto the dance floor and have a few drinks. But yeah, so we have tried to do the netball pre-count. I actually didn't feel like it was so necessary. So last year we just did what was happening at round 3, round 6, round 9, kind of along those lines, and then just smashed out the last few rounds just to see what was going on, and
that's what.
Yeah, I think the boys definitely
So
do
we
that,
don't do a
that
pre-count.
pre-count.
We don't do a pre-count as a club. We do that separately, but show that up.
Yeah.
yeah, we do it
Exactly
separate
right.
with the netballers. Yeah,
Oh, we don't
it's a
even do
separate-
it with the Netball, so
Oh,
that's
there
great.
you go.
Yeah, no, we don't do that.
We like to know where we're at. There's a few competitive
You
girls,
can
I
find
think.
out on the night.
Yeah, all the more to get down to
Or track your best odds and you'll
presentation.
get a
That's
pretty good
it.
idea.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So jump in the comments, guys, and let us know what you guys do. We'd love to know. And don't forget, if you need any trophies, medals, or plaques for the end of season, check out garleytrophycentre.com.au. Up next on the show, we welcome our guest Shelley O'Donnell right after this quick message from our sponsor. We'll be right back. Thanks again to Swizz Locker for their support of our show. Hit up Swizz Locker for your next Netty Trip tops and if you're looking for new merch for next season. So we're pleased now to welcome our guest tonight with thanks to Frankston RSL, a triple world champion, Commonwealth Games gold medalist and 10-year veteran of the Australian national team, inaugural captain of the Melbourne Kestrels and Sorrento Football Netball Club superstar. Welcome to the show, Shelley O'Donnell.
Thank you.
How do you feel
What a
about
I'm
winning?
amongst you guys. I'm so
GameFace
stoked.
Netball Family.
Seriously, you guys do a fabulous job, I can just say. Thanks for inviting me on. Finally.
Yay!
All right, well, thanks for joining us. And for those who don't know, can you tell us how long you've been at Sorrento, what your role is, and how you fit in there as a player?
Yeah, okay, so this is my second season at Sorrento and I'm a player, unbelievably. Not an unbelievable player. I mean, I know you find it hard to believe that I'm still playing.
We've just gone through your, your background.
You can't deny.
Yeah, well, that was then. This is now. Things have changed slightly. Do a little bit of coaching down there, but mainly play. And I play A grade and I play centre wing attack.
So just having a quick look at Sorrento's recent history, we know a few years ago, back in 2015, they weren't able to field an A grade side, so just had the B, C, and potentially D. I can't remember that far away.
Did they have it?
That was my excuse.
You know more than what I do anyway. Already.
2016-17, we were able to get an A grade team up. Unfortunately, we're only able to get one win across the two seasons.
Yep.
So then we came into 2018. New look Sorrento, finished second on the ladder.
New dresses. Shelley
new
O'Donnell
dresses.
takes the call.
Yes. All happening down there.
The game. And came up into the year last year with 15 wins, made it to the grand final, played against EDS, unfortunately couldn't get across the line. I think went down by 5 in the end.
Yeah.
No, 15, sorry.
So, yeah, it was a lot more than 5. I was just going to go, yeah, 5.
Let's take it.
Would it be nice
We'll stick with 5.
A loss is a loss. Grand final.
It could have been 1. It
Margin doesn't
would
matter.
have felt just as bad.
Exactly. And then, and obviously this year, a formidable force, having some great games. Couple of losses in there, sitting in the top 5, sitting third. This week will be a big game up against Mornington. But a lot of people been discussing here on the GameFace show, they're a little bit of a dark horse this season. In a lot of attention, I guess, has been put on Rosebud and Mornington with their stellar season so far. And obviously we had that little loss to Bombers earlier on in the season, which now is...
Which we won't talk about.
now they've got the better of Mornington.
Faded into the background.
But, you know, 2 really amazing seasons and going to be a really formidable force come finals time. What's particularly changed in the last couple of seasons down at Sorrento for you guys to switch that focus onto netball and really become a great team in our competition?
Well, obviously I can't speak for before the 2 years, or 2 years ago, sorry. But since I've been there in the last couple of years, I mean, obviously something had to be done because you're going through and you're not just having small losses. They were quite, from what I can believe, they were quite substantial.
Yeah.
So
heartbreaking.
And
and look, and it's really hard for teams to come out each week and front up to teams and be beaten like that.
And not the only club in the MPNFL to not field an A grade side over the last few years. So I think this year and last year probably were the first couple of years we had everyone field an A grade team. So a couple of other clubs in your positions as well.
Yeah. Look, and I think, Alana was asked to go down and coach down there and she said to me, would you come down? And I said, yeah, and she nearly fell off the chair. And I think it was mainly to get my daughter down. She said, can you bring Hannah as well? And I said, well, okay. And I think then we sort of started to pull some people that, down that we knew that could have really helped the club.
Can imagine there'd be some big connections, big netball connections with you guys.
Yeah, we've got some friends. Unfortunately, a lot of my friends don't play anymore. And so it was great for the club because we could then field a strong A grade team, and then it put players that were having to face A grade back into B grade, and where their skill level is. And so they became competitive.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, and even, I mean, C grade obviously haven't had the wins this season, but not by any means the easiest team to play in the league. They took it to us for the first half and just really dropped away in that second half. So it is fielding down throughout the other teams. And we obviously have an under 17. So do a lot of those players play 17s and then through D, C, B, or are they predominantly 17s building the club up?
Yeah, look, they're predominantly 17s building the club up. We've got a great little under 17s team and they're doing very well. And a couple of 17s play B grade and could still play 17s, but they don't. I think we chose to leave them up there in the seniors, and that's doing them a world of good up there, and they're getting a lot of experience up there. But yeah, it's great that we've got the depth now, and we can see the kids that are going to be coming through in the coming years. You know, we've got a B grade, an under 17s player that's playing A grade, and she also plays in 17s, and there is another B grade player that also plays 17s, but it's mainly separate. Some of the under 17s have had an opportunity to play up in the seniors when we've had. You know,
spaces to fill.
Yeah, when we've had injuries and people have been away. It is, it really is, and it's really good for them because, I mean, personally, playing in this league, I think it's a pretty strong comp. I mean, I was really quite surprised when I did come down. I thought, oh God, I have to actually, work hard here. This is not going to be a walk in the park like I thought it might have been, Yeah, I'll just, lob some balls into the shooter.
Yeah, just for a run around.
Yeah, no, it's actually an amazing comp, and so you really, and there's a lot of physicality out there, but that's what I love. I love that part of netball, and so for the 17s to get an opportunity against older players that are smart and know how to use their body, and it's a great experience for them, and it will just make them grow as players, and we can hope to see them in our top grades down in the years to come.
Fantastic. And are you finding that's working for you guys? Are you loving having the under 17s, and where do you see the future of that competition for our league?
Yeah, I think it's really important that we have the under 17 comp, and we were really lucky that we were able to field a nice strong team, and they're a good bunch of girls and they're doing very well. I think it's important for the grassroots of your club, and to like I said, get them up there and playing in, that's what you want to see them in A and B grade down the track, and you want that to be, you want them to build your club, and that's why it's really important that they're playing in our league, on a Saturday.
So how are you pulling up after games? Like, I know that I'm at Somerville, and for a long time I've been asking Bianca Chatfield to come down and play a game. She's a junior of Somerville, and she says it would take her at least 3 or 4 hours now just to do a warm-up, just to even possibly
get the body up.
To get her body up and be ready to play a game.
I can relate to that a little bit.
So how are you managing to do that? Because like you said, it is a really tough physical competition. So I'm suspecting that you come off a court feeling pretty battered and bruised sometimes. Because I'm going to say, if I was even able to play centre court, which I clearly can't, I'd love to have a run around against Shelley O'Donnell and just go, have a crack.
I smashed her. I'm pretty sure that's what people do. They get out and they go, oh, she's hopeless.
And I'm not in your position, but I'm going to suggest that that's what would happen. So how are you managing your body to be able to, coming into finals now, be ready and able to play finals?
Well, I'm probably not one to talk about because I don't train. So once a week on asphalt is enough, and it takes me till the following week to get up and be able to play.
Right.
7 days later, but this year has been a lot different to last year. I found it really difficult last year, and I had aches and pains, and I've never had knee problems, and I had sore knees, and I was ice. If you saw me after a game, I'd have an ice pack on both knees and an ice pack on both Achilles or calves, which is, I've heard, the old person's injury. And I did actually pull a calf early on in this year, and I was out for 4 weeks, and I thought, and once again, it's the old person's injury, but I just went, you know what, just rehab and get back right, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling fantastic. I think I'm getting used to the asphalt. I do love it when we have the odd indoor game.
Yes. We all look forward to the indoor games.
I put my hand up and I go, I am so not sitting off this game. I'm so playing.
In the middle of winter, it's raining outside.
I know. And so, look, it'd be great if we did play indoors, but I just think the culture and the footy netball thing has to be near the footy, and it has to be so close vicinity, if that's the word, to the football, because you have that connection, and that's what I love about coming down here as well, being a part of the footy netball culture, which I've never been a part of in my entire career. I've played in Metro Melbourne, and so I've only ever played at an association.
Let's be honest,
And-
I'm sure pretty early on you were flagged and went straight up to you're not playing any of that stuff, love.
Well, no, you know, to tell you the truth, I was still playing local association when I was 18, and it was my sister that was asked to go in and trial for the 17 state team, and her team was short one week, and she said, oh, well, my sister can sort of play if you're really desperate. And so I went in there to the State Netball Centre, and that just opened my eyes to netball, and I didn't look back after that. And so I was not really playing top level netball till 1920. So yeah, not 1920. In my 19 when I was 1920.
Was netball playing as a sport back in the
Yeah,
80s?
well, you know what? Yeah, I'm doing all right for whatever. What does that make me?
About
99. I feel 100. So let's just leave it at that.
So you've been instrumental, I think, in helping turn, and Alana, like, you know, Alana was able to then to make the connection to both yourself and to the other guys who have come down. But there are some other clubs in our comp, both in both divisions, that are really probably where Sorrento was 2 or 3 years ago. What would your advice be for those clubs to be able to pull themselves out of that? You know, there's not 10 Shelley O'Donnells to be able to call upon. Alana, again, instrumental in the changes. What would your tips be for those clubs that are really doing it hard and come the end of the season, last round tomorrow for Division 2, one more round for Division 1, what should they be doing, do you think, to maybe get themselves up for next year?
Yeah, look, it's extremely difficult to front up each week, and that, like I said, it would have been extremely difficult for Sorrento to do that, and I'm not sure whether, you know, there's a lot of people that wouldn't have been able to do that. So I take my hat off to clubs that are fronting up and fielding 4 teams each week and being beaten like that. I think you've just got to get around your players, and you've got to keep supporting them and realise what you are out there doing. You're enjoying the game. So even, it doesn't matter about the scoreboard, go out there and have some mini challenges, and, you know, so break the game down into mini games and try and go out and see how about we try and do this quarter and see if we can better our performance from the first quarter and see if you can build. And so there might be 40, 50 goals in the end result, but you can sort of come off the game and say, this is what we did well this week and this is what we've improved on last week. Obviously, it certainly helps if you can recruit some players, and it certainly helps when, you know, and it might only be 1 or 2 players because they can then, and I feel like my job out there is not to be the best player on court. I don't think I've ever got any votes, ever. and that's not because I'm answering back to umpires or anything. I actually should start buying them presents. I mean, it's quite pathetic, really, that they don't even recognise that I'm doing an awesome job out there. But I feel like it's my direction out on court, and it's what I bring to the girls around me. So I've got, and I love playing with my daughter. I love playing with Hannah, and it's just,
It's a special bond,
it is,
It's
and
awesome.
I really, you know, obviously I can't go in and play VNL with her, so this is the opportunity I get to play, and she also gets to have a taste of the culture of being a part of a footy netball competition, and she absolutely loves it. Oh, very, very. Yeah. And she comes out on a Saturday and she absolutely loves it, and the girls love her down there. I mean, she's pretty amazing, I must admit. And, she, you know, I just make her do everything. I just throw the centre pass, basically, and just say, you go, it's yours, you go. But it does help to have those sorts of players on the court with you. So if you can get someone out of retirement or get someone that has played somewhere else, and you can try and get their experience down to your club, they can help build a team and just to give direction on court.
So what's first, do you think? That maybe getting a player out of retirement, or that player, or is the coach the most important? So if the club was really down on their will and they're really doing a hard time, what should they be chasing first? Is that one pivotal player, or do you reckon it's to have that person leading the club?
Oh, you definitely have to have a really good leader, because that person is copying that same loss, and they feel like a lot more responsibility as well, because they're trying to challenge the girls and they're trying to improve them. Yeah. And if it's not happening out on court, they take some responsibility.
And setting those little wins.
Yeah.
Like those little goals.
Yeah.
And
so the coach is really important. Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. What Sorrento have done is they went out and were able to secure Alana, who then brought her with her the players. So
just happy that
Yeah.
luckily enough that she was coaching and also can put up a handy shot or two.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. True.
Player coach. Gold
Very
mine.
handy, very handy coach.
She's more suited to indoors, though, I must say. Her shot's so high. I mean, you know, if there's a bit of exactly. If there's any wind, it goes to the other court usually. But sorry, Alana.
She's all right.
But yeah, look, it's leadership, but also having the players step up and be leaders as well, and take some responsibility. And give the team some challenges and really try and keep them bonded as a team. And I think you don't want to lose players, you want to try and get some players down to the club. And I think that it goes hand in hand, whether it be starts off with the coach or it starts off with getting a couple of handy recruits and then you can sort of work. And another thing is really important is keep working on your juniors because that's the future of your club. And so you need to focus on that as a really important factor, and maybe, you know, trying to get those kids in your area up and playing for your club so that you can then build a successful team down the track.
On
Definitely,
that, on the recruitment side of things, geographically you guys are a little bit challenged, being the furthest out for our club, our league, I should say. Have you guys found that a challenge? Have you got lots of local players, or have you had to bring a lot of people down that have to travel every week?
Yeah, well, it is the furthest away. I mean, I actually prefer to play Frankston because it's actually only 40 minutes from where I live. I'm the furthest away, I think. Or Beck, you know, Beck Kelly's probably a little bit further than me now.
Look, actually
he's a little bit closer. Okay. Sorrento are watching, can I just say?
We used to play against Sorrento. We used to do Airbnbs. We used to go and stay down there.
Actually, yeah, there was a team that did that, and we saw them out that night, and it was fun to get together off the court. It was great. So look, it's obviously a little bit difficult because it is a fair hike if you want to draw players from Melbourne, and but I think that we're doing a pretty good job of enticing players down because
helps that it's a beautiful location.
Absolutely,
It's not bad to
absolutely.
come
I'm not
down
going to
for a
say I'm not
weekend.
going to say where, but someone wanted me to go somewhere in the middle of Victoria, and I said I'm so not going there. I actually enjoy going down on a Thursday night. I hop in the car and I get away from the kids and I go, I'm going to the coast. This is going to be great. And then I do the same thing on a Saturday. So I really, really love it. And I think because you love it, you don't mind the travel. The travel doesn't even come into play, and you don't even realise that it's as far as what it is. But, you know, for other people it might be different. And what we want to try and do is we want to try and get locals because that's the future of the club. And we need to get our 17s up. We need to work on, you know, our juniors in our junior competition down there, and we need to really, you know, that because that is the future. But most of the girls are local. Or they don't travel very far. And some of them have obviously come across because we were successful last year. And, you know, we played our grand final the week before and the week before, you know, and it does because people are going, oh, they must be doing all right down there. They look like they have a bit of fun. Let's go, you know. We had great numbers at our trials this year and or for this season. And it's because of, you know, where the club, where the club was.
A little bit of that old saying, if you build it, they will come. So for those clubs out there that are struggling, don't be disheartened because you are getting beaten on the court. I know there's some great culture, particularly around Bourne Beach. They have the girls are beautiful girls down there, and they've got some great players in there. I know they got hit by a few pregnancies this year, which obviously didn't help.
Well, that's not going to happen with me, so Sorrento are pretty safe there.
But if you stick to building that culture, the players are going to come, and it will take some time. But I mean, you can see it in our football across the other side. You know, there's some teams that have really struggled that are now up the top. You see it in AFL.
Swings and roundabouts.
Swings and roundabouts. It will come. Just hang in there.
And it's actually amazing how it does create so much when you do then become successful and you are winning games. And it's not just about it's not about our A grade either.
Everyone loves the underdogs.
Yeah,
so,
we want our B grade, C grade, D grade and 17s all doing very well because it's not just all about A grade. And I think that's a big focus down there at Sorrento. We want all sections to be doing really well, and it's the vibe then it brings to training. And then, you know, we've got good numbers on the training track. We've got like there's enthusiasm there. We've got great numbers at functions. We have Thursday nights over at the footy club, and there's a great connection there between the footy and the netball club.
Oh,
so
that's good to hear, because I
good.
don't believe that that's necessarily been the case always with Sorrento too. So to hear that that's actually
Been a focus.
well, it might have been a byproduct of even the success that you're seeing on the court, that, all of a sudden, yes, let's welcome these girls into the club, because they're, like you said, if the vibe's good and they're up and about, then the footy club will want to try and grow off that as well.
But again, the footy club also have some of those struggles of getting players actually down there because of the physical location. I know one of my best friends has gone down there this year, and it's probably one of the best things he's done. He's loving his football again, and he's enjoying it. It's a great vibe, and he wasn't playing football, so he's gone and made that switch. And it is a great club, and obviously the boys are quite successful on the field. So it's.
I think we go. I love going over there after our game on a Saturday, because everyone says, "How'd you go?" And we go, "Yeah, we won." And I think they're so excited for us, because I go, "I'll remember that there was." They come over and go, "No, we lost. No, we lost. No, we lost." So there is that. There is that.
Camaraderie.
There is, between the supporters of the club as well. I mean, there's some pretty amazing supporters down there, and we've got a lot of local support, and we've got great support from the footy, and we support the footy ourselves. So it's a really good culture, and I love it. I wish I was younger, but because people say, "How long are you going to play for?" I'll play until I actually, till I can't.
Sounds familiar. And I'm the same.
We all relate.
I wish that I had been footy netball had been a thing for me when I was growing up as well, because it just wasn't around, and in the particularly last 5 years, it's really exploded. So for the girls who have been around for a little bit longer, we're not going to be able to rack up our 300 odd games or whatever. But I see the young ones coming through now who are in their 18, 19, playing senior netball, who will effectively, they'll be able to get a 300 game milestone, in the years to come. And it's fantastic that we've got that type of quality netball that's been played down here on the peninsula.
Yep.
So this is your opportunity to shout out to some of the up and coming rising stars, or who's giving you some interest down at Sorrento on the court. Who are your standouts? And
in any grade?
Yeah, across any
Look, Alana will kill me if I don't actually mention her, but she's having a stellar season, I must say.
Has she come out of the circle yet? Has she swung out into the goal to take?
Oh, yeah, she comes out for a quarter and then she gets tired, so she goes back. But she's having a great, and if your shooters are doing well, then the team's doing well. But, Dad in the defence, Bree's doing extremely well. She's just, fights it out each week. In B grade, we've got some great players there. Our B grade team's looking really good, and like I said, a couple of young ones in there, Sophie Patching and Talia Anderson. They're only babies. They could still be playing under 17s, and they're just really standing up to the challenge of B grade. And then they've got it's mainly a young team, which is really, really good for the club. That we've got a young team sitting in B grade. C grade has just been a struggle for them all season, and they haven't managed to win yet, but there's still 2 games left, and we're hoping that that they can pull one out.
You wouldn't notice that on the court when you're playing against a couple of those girls. It's probably one of the most fun games I've played all season. I don't put myself on the court much, but the girl I was playing against, we were having a great laugh on the court, and you wouldn't even know the score was towards the end, as far as they just kept going and going until the final siren. So it's really good that they're still on the court playing.
Yeah,
I think it's really hard. Like, from what I don't get down there because I coach Carey Grammar on a Saturday morning, and so I don't get down there to see D and C grade. But I've heard, I see them at training, and they move it really well at training, and so it surprises me that they haven't won a game.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to hear that you do say that they have got it. They do still go out there and push other teams.
I think going back, we were. I think it was 5 goals in the first half that we were only up by. So and for us to sitting on top of the ladder, they were sitting second last, I think, then. To be pushed by a side that we wouldn't necessarily thought we would push, we've definitely had bigger gaps between the closer teams. So they are there. They just need to,
it's just getting that. A lot of it might come down to a bit of mental, consistency. They might pull out a good quarter, and then they have a really poor quarter, and then that puts them down for the rest of the game. I think it's actually really
the other way.
just
just about just at the
just in general. It is a massive part of the game, though. It's not the mental aspect.
And I think it's really hard to win C grade because I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's probably a lot of older, smarter women playing in C grade, and they can be the ones
we settle when we're not at that level anymore, but we just need something to play.
Yeah, well, I
100%.
I just think that there's some shooters that if once a shooter, you're always going to be a dead-eye dick shooter, and if they're sitting in C grade and we're trying to match that with younger C grade players with no experience, not a lot of experience there, I must admit there isn't a lot. We don't have a lot of. We've got a lot of youth there, and I just think they lack perhaps a bit of experience and the older heads playing out there with them.
Especially with you guys at the top.
Well, I might eventually work my way back down. So I might be B grade and then I'll get down to C grade and D grade. I've always said I want to be a shooter. So I want to be a shooter in D grade. That's my goal. That's my goal. Yeah, that's my goal. That'll go on my resume. Absolutely. Played goals for Sorrento D grade.
So in Division 1, who, other than yourself, who is something that Sorrento will probably prepare hardest for? Who is your biggest competition? You've had a couple of upset losses or some probably games during the year that you wouldn't have anticipated to have come away with. You would have thought you had the win and you haven't.
Yeah.
Come finals time though, what are you looking at? Who are the ones?
I never like to say it on camera what we're going to do and who we want to play because that'll just come back to bite you. So I just know that there are 5 teams there that can win it on their day. Yeah, it is very, very close. And you know what? Pines do. We played against the Pines and they are such a nice
top 6,
young team and they are sitting just below. They can't obviously make finals, but
they certainly push the top 5 though, don't they?
Absolutely. We've got them in the last game and they won't be easy beats and they certainly challenged us. I think we only beat them by a handful of goals early in the season.
They've had some really interesting games because they've been right up there and I think they may even knocked
they knocked off EDS.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They definitely
but then some other teams have just been like, our girls were able to get across the line by 30 goals with them and we didn't expect that out of the first game we lost to them. So that consistency is
really comes down to the day, doesn't it?
It does, and sometimes it's just a match-up. So sometimes, if you've got 2 or 3 players who are your standouts and you can put that player against that to nullify it, then all of a sudden it brings it back down and that can be sometimes when just one club is doing a better job against the standouts than the others.
And then obviously you have a great background in netball. Is there any players that you've come across in the last 2 seasons that you've just wowed you?
Been surprised from your opposition?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just can't remember their names. The centre of every team I have to play against. Just stop running so fast.
Well, on that, when you come up against quite a few centres that are a little bit younger than yourself and probably do have that speed, but we'll watch you and you just are so much smarter without being, no offence to them, but you watch what they're doing and then probably just go completely out.
Well, I certainly don't. I don't want to give anything away, but I certainly don't do a one-on-one defence all the way down the court. I mean, I tend to drift off and just float back and go, if you want to go down here, I know where you're going next, so I might just sort of wait for you here. But yeah, look, and going back even to the teams, the top 5, I mean, the top 5 got some fabulous players in those teams. And, you can't go past Holly from Mornington. I mean, she was such a challenge to play against and she just dominated and I virtually had to say, can you just take me off? She's killing me and making me look terrible. So we'll have a few tricks up our sleeve when we play each of these teams because I think we need to be smart when we go out against those teams. Don't just sit with this is our 7 and this is what we're playing. And we have got 11 and every one of those 11, we've got a lot of depth and we can interchange very well. And so it'll be matching up against the players that we need to match up. And I actually think that Edie Asper probably, when we played them last, the addition of Chelsea there, she's the playmaker and she didn't miss a goal and we were indoors. I'd like to, maybe play them outdoors. It might be a little bit different.
It is a little different outside.
Our last game against Dramana, they're a fantastic team team as well, and they've got some great players throughout there. And I've been really quite impressed with the standard, and really quite impressed with some of the girls, younger girls that are coming through. And I think we'll probably see a lot of them go somewhere in netball. So it's really great to see them all sort of filtered all through the teams down here in the competition.
Yep.
Well, you just touched on Chelsea, and I might ask you this, Sammy. I don't know if you know, but rumour has it she just called up EDS and decided she wanted to play. What a great get!
I know, right? Look, I can't. We're just lucky sometimes. I don't know, but she is
How
amazing.
does the club just find some? Obviously, you're very successful. And
Look, Helen is normally the first to chase.
If you're going to hit Google and you're going to have a look at, well, what are the successful sides that are around? And like you were saying, so you've got a lot of people who come down to selections because people want to be in a part of a winning club and a winning side.
Yeah.
how many of you
If I was moving to the peninsula and I looked at how many
I think we're five on the top, maybe. I'll just throw that in there.
Yeah, maybe that's why
Look, I have to say, Helen has worked really hard to chase a lot of people, especially early days, and I think it's getting slightly easier for her now as people do, start to want to play with you, which is awesome. But yeah, no, it doesn't stop the hard work for recruiting at the start of the season. She's still on that, and the end of the season too.
What about Division 2? Do you see what's going on across at the other division? Do you know? Have you got any flag favourites or anything like that from the other division? Or
now I've been put on the spot again because I really don't know much about Division 2. It is pretty isolated. I mean, we don't get to see games. We're playing in different venues. We're playing. We don't get to see any
you can't
footage
really play
or anything.
them and travel because you play the same time.
No, and you know what? Even if it was accessible and we were able to do that, I don't think you'd find people would go and watch. And it's not any disrespect to the other competition or to other teams or whatever. It's just that you play your game and it comes down to exactly. But I do have a friend. Oh right, yeah, of course they probably would. But yeah, we do. Look, I do have. My assistant coach at Carey Grammar is Ash Morris, and she plays for Red Hill. And I'm not even sure. I thought they were doing quite well, but I heard that
just outside
just outside now.
But definitely have the capacity to rattle the top five. But it's just so close that not everyone can fit into the top five.
Yeah. But it's really good for the competition of both divisions, and I think. And it's not. I understand obviously that the divisions are set because of the footy, and so
it's
we
really
lost Seaford.
1-2, is
exactly.
It? It's just
Seaford went down, and Seaford were in our finals last year. So it's amazing to see that happen. And I was looking at the ladder the other day, and I think Red Hill footy was up. Are they on top? Win second division. So it could potentially mean that Red Hill netball come up. And a Bond Beach. Oh no, it's on the footy. Sorry, it's so it's on the footy.
The potentials to come up are probably Wellington's the potential to go down.
EDS on the cusp there as well.
Karingal, Langy, probably or Red Hill as you mentioned.
So and that's it's actually good for the netball competition because
you don't want it to be.
Speaking of going on, EDS could have potentially.
We were for a little while. On football. We were on the even points. I think with Wellington.
Would have loved you to come down.
Would you?
But that's the thing. When you go down,
it's not really going down.
It's just going across. In netball, it's just going from one division to the other.
It would be really interesting. I think to have that cross, like to be a team that has played both divisions would be fantastic because you just get the vibe of every club, and then you know really where it's at.
Do you ever do a thing where you play off the top two teams, or the top two teams? Let's have a final series of the top two teams.
Do you know what gets in the way? All of our celebrations.
Probably.
Netty trip.
All of our silly Saturday functions.
Oh God, I do that every Friday night. Can you just? Why does it have to be the end of the season anyway?
Every year we talk about it.
It would be It would be really good.
Well, it would be very interesting because there's a lot of people in Div 2 that think Div 2 are the stronger competition. There's a lot of people in Div 1 that think.
That's what we think.
I had a couple of people actually tell Christy she's wrong. I don't really have anything to back it up at the minute, but they did bring up a good point that Karingal weren't able to get a premiership in Div 1 and then went down, were able to get one, so they were like, that means we're stronger. I'm like, I don't know if it works like that. I think that actually needs a bit of a...
I think they've balanced out now and they are where they meant to be.
But it would be a great competition.
Yeah, I agree. And it would be great to have it across all divisions. So A, B, C, D, under 17s to do a crossover.
I love
Yeah, it'd be great.
Because there's your 5, so the best of.
So, and aggregate.
Really put it down.
So whoever
win.
wins
I like it.
3 or more.
Yeah, bragging rights. Now we are the Division 1 probably.
That's it. Now, Shelley, last question for you.
Okay.
Obviously, Sorrento you want to win the flag, but if they miss, who do you think? Who's your tip in Div 1 to win it?
I think Rosebud are looking really good at the moment, and I mean we only lost to them by a goal early on in the year and should have probably won that game, in my opinion, but we were very outplayed by them in the second half of the year, and so you've got to look at teams that are doing well in the second part of the year because they're the ones, like it doesn't matter what you did at the start of the season, it's who's actually putting it out there now, and I think, and I'm not, it's my daughter. And as I mentioned before, I think EDS are the team that now with Chelsea there. I know they lost Alex through her injury, but we played them indoors and it was a pretty great game.
It was an amazing
It was a
game
really good
from all
game, and it
accounts,
could have actually gone either way.
Yes.
But I think Eliza wasn't playing that game either. So you get all the players back and
which you usually do by final time, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Everyone's
finished their
available.
holidays
Everyone's available now. I'm back for finals.
Yeah.
And then it'll be very interesting. But I mean, obviously, we want to go one better than last year, and we're
have
really
that fire
confident
there.
that we can. We're playing well at this time of the season. I know we had that bad loss against Bombers early in the year, and we just put out an amazing performance against them a few weeks ago. So I think
it's
that's
the second
sort
half
of
of the year,
yeah. I
so
think that just
doesn't really
shows where
count
we've
anymore.
come.
Yeah.
But we also went out in that first game with probably little bit not we were underdone. I think I think we went out there with not a great attitude. We didn't approach
Maybe
it as well as what
expecting
as well as what we could have, and then the physicality just sort of wore us down, and we weren't expecting that either. So I think that we were ready for that the next time around, and we really put it out there, and I think that's where we're looking at. We're playing well at this part of the season, and so I'd put money on us, but not my money, of course. But I'll tell everyone else to put money on us.
But Australian netball and Australian football.
Exactly. And I played in the 90s, so there was nothing, zilch there. So,
love our netball sport.
but all Rosebud and EDASP, I think, are the ones that are up there if we don't win it.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
So it's
All right.
certainly set to be an awesome final series, and we do
Agreed.
thank you very, very much for coming on board. I think we've all relished the opportunity of having someone of such calibre in here with us. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the wine.
Yeah.
Cheers. Get your GameFace on.
That'll be the promo. Cheers.
Cheers.
So up next, guys, we've got our Netflix and skills, and of course our rumour file. So we'll be right back after this short message from our sponsor. Thanks so much to Frankie Media for their ongoing support. Now it's time for Netflix and Skill. Before we head down memory lane, we had some great content come in over the last week. So let's have a look at what we've got first, Lou.
Yeah, we have a great snap here from our C-grade game against EDS on Saturday.
It was a bit of an awe moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was probably more of an awe moment because I think Maxine forgot to tell Lozzie that she was actually still coming. Like, she was just running full pelt, and it was like, and then Holly didn't know what. Oh, sorry, Lozzie, that's the second time I've done it. I'm going to cop a fine for that. The twins. Lozzie wasn't sure what to do when they just collided. Bang! You can see if you zoom in.
And
Lozzie's
so this is the
face.
aftermath.
This is the aftermath, and Lozzie's just having a cracker of a time there on the ground. Maxine, I think, is a little more disappointed that she didn't come off with a ripping intercept and back up. And then if you zoom right in, you can see Wendy's face in the background. Just like, oh.
Yeah, she felt that one, I think.
And so these are the Bomb Beach courts, were they?
Yes,
Bomb Beach
So have a
courts.
They
look
are.
at the difference between these courts and what we see next. So
Yep.
I think this is where
That
we're
explains
talking
the weather,
about.
because I was...
Yeah, so depending on where you were on the peninsula,
Yep.
depending on the weather. So here we have an impressive display of skills by Dominica Hill in the wet at Rosebud. So it was definitely down on the southern suburbs where we got the rain. Who did a great job of not only chasing up a loose ball, but also keeping the ball in play. Have a look at this video now.
Oh,
Check out those skills. You'd
Behind
be
the
pretty
back
happy
flick.
To have that. Yeah, behind
Love
the
it.
back.
Love
I
it.
reckon if the coaches on the sideline would have been
A big globetrottery.
would have got a big rap from the Washington bench.
absolutely. And now for some flashback specials. So let's have a look first at these Ripper from Frankston Bombers, using the old footy shirt as your first uniform.
Yeah, footy
I don't mind
jumpers
that.
were our first. It came down to, do we want a uniform? And I don't know who came up with the footy jumper idea, but everyone was
Zero
on board.
budget.
Yeah.
What can
We
we,
had
get
a
our
few-
hands
How do we
on?
start?
We
Yep.
had someone coming up with some bodysuits, but they weren't coming in, and I actually prefer these jumpers over
A bit
the
more
first style
flattering than the
bodysuits
bodysuit, aren't they?
So there's a few familiar faces that I can spot in that crowd. So I can see that Karina's there, who's now at Mount Eliza. Lou, you're
Yes.
obviously there now at YCW.
lot skinnier back then.
No. Sarah Burke, over on the
Kringle.
end there, who's now at Kringle.
And-
And Charles, she's
Yeah.
probably the only
Charles
one
is the only one
in that group that's
still playing at Bombers, and she's
playing at
probably
Bombers.
there's
Tried and
probably-
true.
I think she's the only one left from the original Bomber gang. There's still a lot of people that are involved in the club, but not
Yes.
actually playing. So she'll.
And I must
Good on
say,
you, Charles.
I'm actually happy that I did have a stint at Bombers, and I never had to wear the never wore the footy Guernsey as a uniform. All right, I also got a photo sent in from Crib Point. Now, this made me laugh.
This is so good.
So, Crib Point had these dresses designed for their first A-line for their club. And if you look at it closely,
Pinot.
Piont.
So, incorrectly spelt point, which
Highlights the importance of detail checking.
which
doesn't it?
no one picked up until towards the end of the year. Now, like many of our netball clubs, Crib Point have their fair share of school teachers that are probably and none of those girls picked it up either. So I just thought,
But my favourite part of that story is that one of the girls actually pointed it out on someone. Your dress is spelt wrong. For them to actually realise that.
to realise
all
it
their
had also
dresses
been
were
wrong. It was wrong on their dress as well. So yeah, good on you, Cribby girls. Lucky they can play netball.
And Sammy, you've managed to dig a few oldies out of the EDS
Yes, the archives.
archives.
Yes.
Great to see there's so many players still out of your original team, still getting around in
We do have a lot
the
of
EDS
regulars.
colours.
Yeah, absolutely, which is really great. There's a few of us
Probably why you've been such
like
a
Cribby
formidable
that
force.
have they've
have
filtered
been
filtered down back to the the lower grades. Some of us oldies that just like to take it a little bit more easy, but
Obviously, that first one's from the ball.
yes.
I think the girls have learnt how to use fake tan over the last 10
Oh
years.
yeah,
as well.
yeah. We've improved our fake tan game. It's it's an every week thing now. So for a lot of players,
One of the girls has a nice inclusion there.
that's Betty Mac down the front there having a little prop
That doesn't
fun.
surprise me that she's got them.
Not at all.
And also here's some goodies that have come through from Rosebud. So you can see them. That this is back in their 2011 netball trip to Phillip Island. Again, love a little bit of merchandise for your end of season trip. So
They must have been behaving, not with all that representation across there. Normally you misbehave and pretend
You're not part of it.
We were Somerville when we were
No wonder we don't win that best on court, best what do they call
Most
it?
disciplined club.
Most disciplined. No wonder we can't ever win that award. So you know where you go to get your merchandise, though, don't you guys? And the 2009 grand final between Rosebud and Rye. You'll notice here Rosebud's Loz Robinson hasn't gone far from the 2009 grand final. So
hopefully 2019 grand final too for her.
get the anniversary win. And playing for Rye, you might see a familiar face there in Emma White, who was only only 15 at the time playing for Rye. And
Look
now,
at those uniforms.
I know.
and is now a member of the Rosebuds A grade side. You know what? Those
Side
uniforms.
pony in there as well.
Oh, yeah. Is that Casey?
It
Casey
is
Bishop?
Casey.
Yep.
Those
Playing for
uniforms
Rosebud
there
now?
remind me of, for all the guys that were watching the World Cup, that reminds me of the Barbados uniform. So they look like cheerleaders, and that's exactly what was rolling around in the World Cup. So maybe they were ahead of the trend. All right. So thanks so much for sending those three. We are sure that there are many more in the archives. So don't feel that just because we've shown these tonight that that's all we're going to show. If they've got any other good ones, please dig them up and send them through.
And now, guys, moving on to our next segment, it's time for the weekly rumour file. What have you got for us this week, Christy?
Let us have a wine.
Yeah, one time, sip
I get these out for us. Okay, Division 1 rumour this week. Which Division 1 club is not happy with the finals venues and may be launching a protest to have them changed?
Ooh,
Is that even possible?
even
To change finals when they're being
I
there?
can
I think
tell you
they're-
from history that we have, at Somerville, we had a football game though, taken from us, and it was moved down to Rye, I think, from history. It was a few years ago.
Was that with conditions of the
Conditions of the
ground?
ground.
So I think you would find it was probably more likely a condition
in a
of the
football?
ground, depending because you
Hard to
can't-
do in netball.
Hard to do in
Yeah.
netball, and they are ratified by. I think they go through three
Yes,
stages of.
yes.
So the league, for anyone that doesn't know, clubs submit if they want to hold final series.
Yep.
And obviously it needs to be football
And then
netball
everything,
facilities.
has to be able to marry up. So all of
Yeah.
the things, all of the conditions that minimum requirements for courts, grounds, etc., need to be in place. And
So interesting. I think if there's a few people watching, they might have an inkling, as there was a couple of questions raised at our netball operations meeting, but I don't know. It could come from anyone. There's a few voices there that may not have been as
Thrilled about it?
complimentary as others.
of the.
I'm going to wish them luck, but I'm going to say there's very
Fat chance,
There's very
basically.
little chance.
much chance that you're going to get that across the line, I'm going to suggest. All right, Division 2. So which coach was caught filming the game without permission? Following on from the first time the two clubs met, a parent live streamed the game to Facebook, also without permission.
See, this becomes a bit of an issue if you've got any probably under 18 girls playing, doesn't it? Because in terms of consent and...
Generally, if you ask permission and you've been told no, you've got to be pretty ballsy to then go and.
do it anyway.
Well,
It's not hard to.
Yeah, so they haven't even asked for permission to have had
Oh, I thought.
that
Sorry.
conversation.
No, so they've been asked. There's been no permission.
They just haven't asked.
I believe, based on what this is saying. That would be my interpretation of
Sorry.
what they're trying to say here. I think whoever's probably doing the filming, and for anybody who's at home who's going to consider like coming into finals, there might be teams who will be considering to do this.
Doing some reviews, maybe, game reviews.
Yeah, and look, we look at
I'm
doing
allergic
that
to spinning.
at our club about reviewing some of the things that happen on the court. Just look at your bylaws, make sure that you're across what you can and can't do, and ask permission.
Yeah, 100%.
Pretty easy.
Permission, but that's very. The person
The
that
live
streamed it to
streaming.
Facebook. Well,
Why? First of all, why?
they must have had. Maybe it was a big game, like a 50th game. Well, 50th,
I don't know. They're
Yeah, a
on, they're on
milestone
a better
game.
data package than
A
I am on my
milestone.
phone.
Milestone. I wouldn't have even thought to have done that. But at least it's getting some exposure to the great game.
Yeah,
out there.
I don't progress any further than Snapchats and sending them around. All right.
All right, guys, let's have a look now what we've got coming up for the weekend. We'll start with Div 1, Lou. What are you most looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, there's not too much out of this game this
Pointy
week.
end
I
of the
think.
season now. 2 weeks left.
We've got A grade Mornington versus Sorrento. So Mornington
big
coming
game.
off that shock loss. Fourth versus third. Sorrento coming off a great win last week.
This will be really telling, won't it?
It will be a very interesting game. I think, we heard from Shelley before, they will be a formidable force come finals, and I think I'm going to
Really underrated, aren't they?
yeah,
They haven't
quite
been
underrated,
spoken about a lot.
And I'm going to go with
They were my
Sorrento
very
in
early.
this one.
They were my very early tip.
Very
I
early
do
tip.
remember that.
Very early tip, and
Yeah.
I did swing towards Rosebud. So
Yeah, Mornington
interesting.
have, I don't know,
Dropped off, maybe take the foot off the pedal a little.
taken for maybe, yeah, they've dropped to fourth after a couple of losses in the last few weeks, and I did pick them
It
early.
is so
I hope
tight up
they
there
don't-
as well, isn't it? Because
yeah.
it's not. So it's one or two
One or two-
losses really can hurt
Really,
you.
Yeah, so they'll be hoping to get back up into that third spot and
Want the double chance.
second chance. So it's going to be a cracking game, but I do see Sorrento coming away with the points. And then my other one in A grade, given that they did have a fantastic game last week, and I think they'll be up and about and confident, they might give, just depending what game they bring, Frankston Bombers might give EDS a run for
They'll be
their
a worry
money.
now. They'll certainly be a worry.
They'll be up there.
I mean, look,
thinking
it's
they
always
can
a
do
tough.
it.
It's always a tough game. Let's be honest, against Bombers anyway. But
They're either
yeah,
gonna give
it's
you
a little
run of the
more
run
more
for
worrying.
Run for their money, or they're going to come
fall flat.
crashing right down here.
Let's hope for the ladder, please. Sorry, girls.
It'll be interesting to see what game they bring.
Yes.
If they bring the right one. And
And
another
whose game is that? Is it back
Bombers
at Bombers?
Bombers home group. Sorry.
Yep. It might
and
depend
then-
on how many cruises are on offer at the end of the game.
Back at the rooms.
Support you girls.
Lucky not that none of them are going to the businessman's lunch because they may have had some hangovers, but I think it's more the boys
boys
don't
are
like
into
it
that.
when they come across. And then B grade, Mornington versus Sorrento will be another cracking game, 6th versus 5th. And the winner, so Sorrento, if they win, will go ahead 2 games clear, which will be nice and handy coming into the final round for us. Mornington, if they win, will actually kick Sorrento out of the 5.
Wow.
So a lot to play for in that game. And there isn't too much. Mount Eliza, YC in C grade, 1 versus 5th. We beat them by 1 last time, and depending
Close.
which team Mount Eliza bring, will depend what
And they're
happens
really
on the
pushing
day.
for that final spot, aren't
They're
they?
pushing for that final
they've
spot,
got, I think it's
so-
them and Rosebud, is it?
Them and
Really
Rosebud.
close, yeah.
So they came off the win last week and kicked Rosebud out of the 5, so they've just gone ahead. But Rosebud have probably an easier run home in these last 2 games and should comfortably get 2 good wins, whereas Mount Eliza come up against the top
2
2 games, top 2 teams in these next 2 games. So that'll be interesting if they can get across. But if they can't get across this weekend and Rosebud get the chocolates, it'll be an interesting final round. And
Absolutely.
then D grade, again, Mount Eliza YC will be another cracking game, 2nd versus 3rd. YC coming off a loss, hoping to change that. And then Bomb Beach Dramana, 4th versus 5th, should be a great game as well. So hopefully we haven't jinxed it this week.
We'll see some
have
nice
some
tight
cracking
games.
games.
Fantastic.
Like to say,
And what about Div 2, Christy?
it's interesting that you were just mentioning about the clubs that are coming up against the ladder leaders. I'm going to do a bit of a shout out to Port Pearsdale. They have had the hardest run home, I think, of any club. So last week they came across Langwarren. So in most of the grades, those girls are in finals, top 2 or 3 teams. And then this week, so tomorrow, they face Coringal, who their A grade sitting 5th, so going to play finals. And every other team
Undefeated on
Coringal
top.
are undefeated sitting
You
on top of
never
the ladder.
know. How's
Wow.
those monkeys
So
going?
Pearsdale-
Kringle's back.
It's the last round too, isn't it, Christy, before finals?
It is.
So
and
that's it. That's
I,
it. All to play for.
I think Pearsdale would hope that every monkey in the world is jumping on those Coringal girls' backs because that's a tough run home. So, although when we did play the Pearsdale girls, they are just a ripper group, and they appreciate the fact that, yes, because we played them, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they knew that they had a tough run home, and they're just getting
They're
around
out
each
there having
other.
fun.
They know what's coming. They're looking forward to the end of the year. Appreciate that. It has been a tough season for them.
But imagine if they could come across and knock off undefeated top of the ladder. That's got to be something like you just.
Chocolates to play for.
It's got to give you
Our
a
producer
bit
may
of-
be not so
a bit
happy
of-
about that in the background.
a little bit of
Ringle's not going to be
fire.
necessarily wanting that too much. But I just want to do a shout out. I wish them all the best. I just hope that they have some great games, great quality netball, and yeah, just for the rest of their season. So I just wanted to do that before I go into the rest of the games. But like you said, so this is Division 2's last round. So there's a lot of important games this week to determine what the ladder positionings are. So I've made some notes. Because it's
a lot.
It's pretty full. So we'll start with the under-17s. So everything's up for grabs in the under-17s at the moment. Devon Meadows 2 and Hastings are both fighting for the 5th spot. So that's going to be a really interesting...
Are they playing each other?
No.
No, sorry.
No, they're not. So Devon Meadows 2 are playing against Coringle. So Coringle are sitting in 8th, so they should technically get that win. And Hastings are playing against Crib Point, again, should get that win. So if both of those teams come away with a win, it's going to come down to percentage. So I'm going to say
how much they can win by.
There's going to be people on the sidelines who are going to
On the
hope that the
GameFace app.
GameFace app is updated regularly. And the
can
mathematicians out there are going to be working out how many goals that they need to potentially get the teams into the finals.
Let's just hope they don't have a Moz on there who, if they win the toss or lose the toss. What happens to them?
How they start.
Maybe that's just YCW. Lou. All right, in D grade, this one is also up for grabs. So, there's some really close, ladder spots in this comp. So Chelsea sitting in 3rd are playing Devon Meadows. Chelsea will look for the win, so that will lock them into 3rd, and that will give them the second chance. And Devon will be looking for the win to get a final spot. So it's going to be who wants the second chance and who wants a finals position. So that's going to be really interesting. But Devon will want that final spot, but for that to happen, they have to rely on Red Hill to lose.
Ooh.
So this is where everything really comes into play. So Red Hill's currently in 5th, but they must beat Langwarrin, who are in 2nd.
Ooh.
Okay?
Fast.
To lock in that spot. So if they don't, then
They have to rely on the other team to lose.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
okay. So
tight.
that's in D grade.
Yeah.
But that's the type of competition you want, coming down to the last
Very
round.
much so.
Absolutely.
Anyone can make it in.
Yeah. So that's all happening in D grade. C grade, the top 5's locked in, as is the top 3. So that pretty much is going to play out as we see it. So I think that's really the only grade where
Everything's settled.
That's actually happened.
It's a bit of a rest round to
B
prepare for
grade,
finals.
top 5's locked in, but Langwarrin's in 3rd at the moment, and with Devon, but they're on equal points.
So that's a big game for these guys because second chance up for grabs if you finish 3rd.
That's
which
right.
Has
So
been different
whoever finishes on 3rd will be who I play first week of finals.
so you'll be watching that closely.
Correct. So if they both get the win, 3rd spot will come down to percentage as well. So that's how tight it is. And I'm not going to give away who I want to have in that 3rd position.
Don't fire them up too much.
So that's B grade, and we know that Coringle still sitting undefeated, top of the ladder there. So it's going to be who is going to fill in the rest of those positions to try and
topple them.
Exactly right. And lastly is A grade. So top 5 has been locked in for the last few weeks, and we mentioned the fact that I really think that Tyab.
Just be disappointed to miss out.
Disappointed to miss out, yeah, definitely. I think that they would have been able to do some damage in finals because they're seasoned finals players, so both in local level and VNL. So I think that they would have really been able to make a difference. They're going to have an earlier silly Saturday
Than normal.
Than they normally would have. But Langwarrin to hold on to that 3rd spot. So again, very important about this second chance. So they must win to be able to do that. And Langwarrin are playing Red Hill. Again, really good competitors, Red Hill, sitting in 8th position, but it doesn't mean that they don't have the capacity to be able to beat a 3rd spot Langwarrin.
So that in Div 1 last week. So
yes.
play for it.
And Hastings are also pushing for that 3rd spot. So Hastings are taking on Somerville. So we're in 9th. We do have the ability to, we've had a few draws against our top 5 teams. So anything can happen. So there's still so much
to play for in your
so much
last
to
round.
play for with 1 round to go. So
Yeah.
I'm really
Exciting.
looking forward to seeing what happens.
Fantastic. Very exciting.
It's all happening.
I know, I can't wait. Well, we'll be very keen to go over those results next week on the show. So again, we want to put out a massive shout out to our sponsors, Swiftlooker, Frankie Media and Swordfish Wine Bar and Tapas. We appreciate your support, guys. Make sure if you're watching, you give us a like or a comment or both, preferably. We'd love to know you're watching, and we'd also love to hear what you'd like us to talk about as well.
All right, and thanks again to Shelley for joining us earlier, and thanks to you guys for tuning in. Good luck to all the teams tomorrow, especially all the Division 2 teams who potentially this might be your last game of the season, and we'll see you all next week.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.